The day of the wedding, the girlfriend who was supposed to be my bride wore a wedding dress, took my own brother's hand. It turns out, the person she always wanted to marry was not me. What she really wanted is to be the wife of the heir to the Anderson family. Everyone has blessed them, said they were a match made in heaven. The protagonist, was surrounded by security guards. They were worried that I would make a scene. She and Nathan kissed deeply. "Ryan, you can't hold out on me." "Ryan, you don't have to insist. I've always only thought of you as a brother." I smiled, looked at the indifferent family and said, "I've already met your wife. She feels good. She is experienced. Tonight you can also experience it." What love? What love? I don't care anymore after 6 months of careful preparation. This grand wedding has finally begun. The bride Sophia is beautiful and generous, elegantly standing on the stage. But I, the groom, was pressed tightly by relatives under the stage. Cannot move until Nathan came on stage with the ring. The host announced the start of the wedding according to the procedure. I just suddenly understand. Why these 6 months? People around me always look at me with sympathy. Original. From the day of preparation for the wedding, everyone knew the real groom is not me at all. I stared at the stage. The host said, "I'd like to invite the newlyweds to make a speech." The words just fell. I felt the gazes around me focused even more. "That's the second son of the Anderson family, right? I heard this wedding was supposed to be his. Look at him dressed so formally." Alas, you can't tell what's going on with the rich and powerful. Nathan looked at me. He began by saying, "I want to thank my parents and friends and family for this wedding. Everyone put a lot of thought into it. Every detail was done well. That's what made it such a grand ceremony. I'd also like to give special thanks to my brother. He arranged the whole wedding. I'm very satisfied. Thank you, Ryan." Ryan. He looked over to me on the stage. He looked down at me with a hint of derision on his face. I felt terrible. To make Sophia's wedding special, I went to great lengths to make it special for Sophia. Every detail was in pursuit of perfection. I didn't expect to end up making someone else happy. Sophia also said to me, "Ryan, thank you for your companionship and careful care these years. I must make it clear to you, for so many years, I've always treated you as my brother. I already have someone else in my heart. Don't bother me anymore. Let's call it a day." After she finished speaking, Nathan and I looked at each other on the stage, smiling happily. The guests offstage were also infected by the happy atmosphere. Everyone was immersed in happiness. I stood there expressionlessly. I looked out of place with the lively scene. As soon as the wedding ceremony was over, my parents walked to the front of the stage. My dad looked at Nathan with satisfaction and glanced at me with a disgruntled look. He said, "The Anderson family has been around for 3 generations. It's always been whoever has the ability to be the head of the family. I have 2 sons. The eldest son, Nathan, is not only decisive, he is also very capable. He's a good successor. Today is his wedding day with Sophia. Now that they've started a family, it's time to take up the cause. Starting tomorrow, Nathan will become the new president of Anderson Group." The room erupted in applause. The guests cheered for the new heir to the Anderson family. And then, my dad went on to say, "There's one more thing to tell you all. As of today, Ryan is no longer part of the Anderson family. Soon his name will be removed from the Anderson family tree." The guests were surprised to hear that. Everyone didn't understand. The eldest son's wedding day. Why kick the youngest son out of the house? What kind of reasoning is this? My eyes glazed over. My heart is full of questions. Why? I spent 10 years giving my feelings, watching my fiancée marry my brother. I didn't make a fuss about the company being handed over to my brother to take care of. I didn't make a fuss either. I've known tolerance since I was a kid, but this time, they actually won't let me go home. I didn't feel bad enough to be kicked out of the house. I looked around. The guests all looked puzzled, and the Andersons didn't care at all. Nathan and his bride Sophia, completely oblivious to it all. Oh boy, it's so easy for honest people to suffer. I smiled coldly. I started to take off my tie, cufflinks, watch, and ring. One by one, I threw them on the ground. "This is their Anderson family stuff. I don't care. You can do whatever you want. If you want me to leave, you can do it now." I knew my dad could hear me. He turned to Nathan. He smiled and told him, "I've tried your bride for you. She did quite well. You can feel it for yourself tonight as well after all. She has been used by me for so long. I'm not sure how she performs now. Brother, this is the last time I call you brother. You don't mind accepting my used-up stuff." Nathan and Sophia originally had a smug look on their faces. Suddenly their faces changed, like he had encountered something unpleasant before he could have a fit. I turned around and walked out of the banquet hall. Someone behind me reminded softly, "Your things don't want it, don't want it. She gave it to me. I feel unclean." I forced down my inner dissatisfaction. Never let anyone see a bit of sadness with my father's words. As soon as I walk out this door, the people in the house will have nothing to do with me anymore. I face the sunlight, smoothing my hair back casually, pick up a cigarette, lean against the wall, undo the 3 buttons of my shirt. The smoke rises slowly. The whole person appeared to be at ease and dashing. In the Anderson family, I wouldn't dare to be so casual. "Ryan, you're going off the deep end." I was thinking about something. Suddenly I heard a familiar voice. I squinted for a while before recognizing Emma. Only then did I recognize that it was Emma. She is my schoolmate. Her family is unknown. She suddenly transferred to our school in her first year of high school. Her grades were especially good. She always gave people the feeling of being a big sister when I was in school. She always teased me, but I only had Sophia on my mind. I didn't care about anything else. What happened? I was dumped by my sweetheart at the wedding. I've figured it out. Emma stepped closer. She stared straight at me. "What sweetheart? At least she's a former wife. Sister, why are you so interested in my affairs? I'm not a kind person to begin with, if you mess with me like before. Don't blame me for being unkind." The corner of my mouth lifted. The bad thoughts in my heart surged up all at once. I violently pushed her against the wall, blowing a puff of smoke in her face. I expected her to push me away, and then angrily curse me and turn away. But instead she leaned in, wrapped her arms around my neck, suddenly closing the distance. Then, she took the cigarette in my mouth with her lips, smiling. "Good. I'm also quite curious how the gentle schoolboy's brother would fight back." She laughed openly, but her eyes looked at me seriously, being looked at so directly by her. I instantly forgot my previous unhappiness. The boredom in my heart also dissipated. I was a little embarrassed to remove her arm around my neck, took a step back, keeping a distance from her, avoiding her fiery gaze. After a while, Emma suddenly laughed happily. "It's just a girl. She doesn't want you, I want you. The Andersons are kicking you out. You're welcome in the Emma family." The Emma family? Is that the famous Emma family? I thought she was joking. I pretended not to care. I don't really care about what happened just now. Nathan, this person cannot. When she comes to her senses, she will definitely regret it, said. I smiled, turned around and walked away, but in my heart, I felt a little bad. Oh my God. Don't ever come back to see me make a fool of myself again. I, Emma, am a man of my word. You won't get away with it. She looked at my back. She waved her hand. Suddenly, a few big men in black suits and sunglasses appeared. They were very aggressive. She moved quickly, tied me up, stuck me in her car. Half an hour later, the car stopped. I was dragged into a villa. The bodyguards in black clothes left. They thoughtfully unlocked the door from the outside. Looking out the window, I could vaguely see a few figures walking around in the yard. Don't ponder. If you don't agree to my request, you can't go out. There's always someone guarding outside. They won't open the lock on the gate without my permission. They won't open it for you. Emma is leisurely making tea. I'm a bit frustrated. A moment's negligence has really taken her away. Missy, what the hell are you doing? What have I done to you? You have to play this kind of trick to shut people down. I tried to understand what she was really thinking. She said, I already told you, she doesn't want you, I want you. We're both women anyway, and I'm prettier than her, and richer than her. Look at her serious face. I realize she's serious. Okay, you don't care. I have nothing to worry about as a big man, I answered casually, thinking of pretending to agree to her request first. We'll talk about it after we leave the villa. Good, since you agreed. Then as boyfriend and girlfriend. Let's do something pleasant. Show your sincerity. Emma walked to the sofa, flirtatiously lifted my chin. She sat on my lap, looking down at me. Her eyes were full of temptation. I couldn't help but mutter something about what a charmer she was. There was no expression on his face. He said calmly, "Let's go. Let's take a shower first." I was overwhelmed by a woman. I'm holding a fire in my heart since she doesn't care. I don't have to be too serious. After thinking it over, I decided to take the initiative. We took a bath together. We spent the night together. When I woke up, the sun had already risen. When I got up, the bed next to me was already cold. Lifting the thin quilt, there was a splash of red on the sheets. I was amazed. I was impressed by last night. Emma's kissing skills were a little rusty. She even stiffened up a bit, now that I think about it. I was fooled by her boldness and initiative yesterday. Actually, Emma is a very traditional person. Judging from yesterday's performance, people who didn't know thought she had a lot of tricks up her sleeve. It turned out to be all an illusion. I sorted myself out and went downstairs. She was still sitting at the tea table making tea. She seems to really like tea. "You're awake. You must have been exhausted last night." Looking at her calm expression, I feel a bit uncomfortable in my heart. It's you who should be tired. It's your first time after all. There must be a process of adaptation. You were so enthusiastic last night. How come you woke up so cold? I sat down opposite her, slowly speak. After speaking, I looked at her expression. There didn't seem to be much change. But if her earlobes weren't red, I might have believed that she really didn't care. There was a moment of silence. The strong woman across from me resumed her usual appearance. Calmly said, "Let's go. I'll take you to meet a few people." I originally thought it was just to meet her friends, but when she took my hand, appeared at Emma's family dinner, my feelings were both mixed and nervous. Emma's family's old mansion is a huge estate. When Emma brought me out of the car, there was a gentle-looking lady standing outside the door. Probably because she was in a hurry, she walked a little faster, and then stopped a little awkwardly. Hiss, if it wasn't for the fact that I was standing close. There was no way to hear the sound she made. I took a look at her. In my heart, I was a little regretful. I should have known that I shouldn't have made so much noise last night. I gently held her up, looking at the way she became softer all of a sudden. Heart a little curious, I asked, "Emma, what's wrong with you?" It could be that we stopped suddenly. The lady who was waiting at the door came over. "Mom, I'm fine," Emma explained. The sound of mom took me by surprise. I hadn't even reacted yet. I saw the other person's meaningful gaze. I didn't know how to explain for a moment, only awkwardly smiled. At the dinner table, the atmosphere was a bit cold, waiting for everyone to eat almost. Emma put down her chopsticks, suddenly said, "Mom and Dad, Grandpa, Uncle, Aunt, this is the person I'm going to marry." Of the 7 people present, I was the most shocked. Emma is a real rich girl, a family like hers. She's from a family like hers, so she can't just say that she's getting married. Emma's grandfather is a well-known figure in the financial field. As a businessman and successful entrepreneur, he's in the spotlight nowadays. He looks like an old man in an ordinary family who loves his granddaughter, but no one can ignore his once turbulent experience. Emma's dad is a professor in the finance department of the University of A. If I hadn't given up the chance to get guaranteed admission in the first place, I might have become his student. Emma's mom is a famous painter, gentle personality, very cultivated. Emma's uncle and aunt run the family business. The couple manages Emma's family group together. It is likely that Emma will take over in the future. She is the only girl in the family, favored since childhood. Her uncle family's 2 younger brothers are twins. They are still in school. They didn't show up for dinner today. "Emma, you're still young. Don't rush into marriage. Let's talk about it later." Uncle finished. He gave me a stern look. "I am serious. Besides, you guys have been urging me to get married and have kids, so that I can take over the company." Emma said calmly, "I understand. The original is being urged by the family to get married. Just happened to meet me, so they pulled me to fill the number." Thinking of this, suddenly my heart feels bad. Grandpa, Emma, uncle, aunt, "Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm sorry I'm in a hurry today. I didn't have time to prepare a gift. It's not your fault. I brought you back out of the blue," Emma explained for me. Emma's a bit more casual. "Ryan, don't take her words to heart. Emma's dad spoke in a gentle tone, but the attitude is as firm as Uncle's. Neither of them supported Emma's talk of marrying me. Emma, however, insisted, "I don't care apart from him. I won't marry anyone." Emma said seriously, "Junior, you know Emma's decision. Marriage is a big deal. What does your family think?" Grandpa Emma sat up straighter, eyes fixed on me, asked, "You know what Emma's family means? I didn't understand before. Now I understand. I can just decide my own things." I answered after a moment's consideration. Marriage between two people. In the end, it still depends on whether the conditions of both parties are equivalent. Emma's family's son-in-law isn't something that just anyone can be. Don't think that Emma likes you. You can do whatever you want. Uncle spoke directly and pointedly. But the others didn't express their disagreement. I couldn't help but argue. But I really don't deserve Emma's family. I was a bit upset in the end. I didn't say anything. Grandpa, Dad, Mom, Uncle, Aunt, I've made up my mind about this. I can't help it if you don't agree. After Emma made her attitude clear once again, the table became quiet. My face may not look so good, but she said in front of her family several times that she would not marry me. Let a glimmer of hope rise in my heart again. Whether she really likes me, or was it because she was being urged to marry, just in time to meet me being abandoned? She chose me, after a while. Auntie broke the silence, asked, "What is Ryan doing now? What are the specific industries?" "Humble is my company, mainly doing venture capital." "What is Humble is your company? You're the new investor rumored to be in the industry. You're the one who's known as the venture capital maverick." I just finished speaking. Aunt shouted in surprise. "Humble Harmony is a company I started myself. It totally belongs to me. Now it's my main job. The Emma family, you look at me. I look at you, as if exchanging something." Someone says, "Ryan is really something. He's made a name for himself in the venture capital world at such a young age." "The Anderson family kicked you out. I guess they were wrong." Grandpa Emma's words were full of praise. After listening, Emma's family all looked happy. He then said to Emma, "Don't be in such a hurry. I've reminded you many times, you have to be calm when things happen." Auntie said gently to her daughter, "Ryan, sorry, we checked on you privately yesterday. Auntie apologized to you, but I hope you can understand our feelings as parents who want to protect our children." After Grandpa Emma said that, I knew why the atmosphere at the table was so tense. Yesterday's wedding, and the news that the Anderson family kicked me out of the house. It's probably already spread throughout the city. The cell phone I used to communicate with the Anderson family died at some point. I haven't turned it on since. It's okay, I don't mind. I'm the one who's in high demand. Grandpa, you guys are too much. If my fiancé is scared away, how can you be responsible for that? Emma realized. It turns out that her family's behavior just now was all an act. It was all to test her. Her heart tightened, thinking, Anderson's family hasn't even formally proposed yet. You're treating yourself as a fiancé first. You're starting to help outsiders here. Uncle laughed and joked. I've already begged him. Ryan will be mine sooner or later anyway. Calling it now is no different than calling it later. She spread her hands casually, although it's not the first time I've heard such direct words. But it still made my heart beat faster. Then why don't you guys get married early? Ryan, what do you think? Grandpa Emma suggested with a smile. I looked at everyone at the table. Emma was calm on the outside, but her hands were gripping the tablecloth tightly. I subconsciously responded, I'm fine with it. Listen to Emma. Emma seems relieved. Makes it kind of funny. She's actually quite strong on the outside. Talking about the wedding, the atmosphere at the dinner table soon became lively. The elders were chatting feverishly about various details. I quietly took Emma's hand that was resting on my leg. She looked at me in surprise. A happy smile bloomed on her face. I was infected by her too, showing the most genuine smile since yesterday. Aunt, near the end of the meal, suggested to work with Humble. This surprised me a bit, but it also felt reasonable. I've always been very sure of my abilities. Although Humble, he is a new company, but it has a very bright future. The president of Humble Harmony is my schoolmate. Something happened to his family when he graduated. I gave him a hand. Since then, he's been working with me single-mindedly. as the apparent head of Humble Harmony. He hides me completely behind the curtain, so everyone in the mall knows about Lone Wolf. But no one has ever seen Lone Wolf's true colors. Anne and I made an appointment to go to Emma's family company to talk about cooperation. This family gathering also ended on a happy note. After getting the approval of the elders of Emma's family, my relationship with Emma developed very quickly. It has reached the stage of discussing marriage matters. After being hard-pressed by her to stay, I willingly stayed in her big villa instead. She seems to feel that she lost face that first night. These days, always secretly looking for opportunities to provoke, trying to regain some face from me, since I found out she's actually a paper tiger. I'm happy to watch her toss and turn. The cooperation between Humble and Emma's family was quickly finalized. As soon as the news was announced, the whole industry was shocked. No one expected it. A big company like the Emma family would join forces with a newly risen small company, even though the company had made a name for itself in venture capital circles in a short period of time. That day, I was tossed around enough. Emma finally compromised. She eagerly pulled me out the door. She didn't want to stay at home with me anymore. Recently, Uncle and Aunt gave her a vacation because of the wedding. She doesn't have to go back to the office for a while. We just finished talking to Aunt in the president's office. We were about to leave. We were stopped by someone in the parlor. Ryan, Nathan proudly called out to me, looking at this man who has been my brother for almost 30 years. I had nothing in my heart. How, after being kicked out of the Anderson family, he came to Emma's family to look for a job. If you beg me on your knees, maybe I can get you a job at the Anderson Group. At least I won't let you starve outside. Look at his smug look. I became more curious. I couldn't help but ask. I've never understood. You've hated me so much since you were a kid. Why on earth? You have to grab what I like. You always tried to stop me from doing what I wanted to do. Mom and Dad knew it all, but they always pretended not to know, and they've always favored you. Nathan didn't look too good, but he didn't say anything to me. He didn't want to talk about it. I didn't ask. I just shrugged my shoulders. And pulled Emma away. How? It's only been a month. You forget about Sophia, who you've loved for years, started looking for someone else, Jacob said while looking at Emma. He is usually easy to handle in love affairs. On the surface, he pretends to be serious. Few people know his true character. I stood in front of her. I'm standing in front of her. If you don't want to lose your eyes, stop looking at people with that kind of eyes. I swept him coldly. Jacob was startled, took a step backward. He felt that he had lost face. His face became ugly, like he was about to get angry. He said, "Ryan, what? I've hit a sore spot. You're angry, this girl. Do you know what kind of man you're with? You're not going to get anywhere with him." Nathan finished pretending to be tough. Eyes fell on Emma behind me, but didn't recognize her as the big sister of our school back then. Emma responded coldly. "The man Emma, have my eyes on. When was it someone else's turn to tell me what to do? I was just about to open my mouth." Emma came out and said coldly, "What kind of thing are you? Women like you. I've seen a lot of them. You followed Ryan because of money. Now he's been removed from the Anderson family. How long do you think that money will last?" Nathan's talking a lot. Aunt's special assistant walked in. Nathan greeted him quickly. "Special assistant, how do you do? I am the general manager of Anderson Group. I'm here today to talk to Aunt about cooperation. I wonder if Aunt is free right now." I've seen Nathan's face change in front of people. I've seen it many times. I'm used to it. On the contrary, it's Emma. Dislike is written all over her face. "Missy, you haven't left yet. Aunt just said that if you leave early, you won't be able to enjoy your meal. The cafeteria has just received a batch of fresh king crabs. We'll have extra food for everyone at noon." The special assistant is a smart man. She came to the parlor herself, even though she's so busy. It must be the little assistant under her who knows what's going on over here. Rushed back to inform her. She said, "There was a bit of a delay just now. Since there's good food in the cafeteria, Ryan and I will go back to Aunt. Let's have lunch together." "What? You're the daughter of Emma's family?" Nathan was listening. He realized that he was not paying attention to what he was saying. He realized that he had just spoken without paying attention, and that the one he had offended was the eldest daughter of the Emma family. The other party explained. "That's right, General Manager. This is the eldest daughter of the Emma family. The one next to her is our newest aunt." The special assistant finished speaking. Nathan was already in a cold sweat. Then, the special assistant added, "Our aunt also said, let's call it a day with Anderson Group. After all, if you want to cooperate with the Emma family, at least someone with a comparable status should come to talk about it. Please leave." Nathan has been arrogant since he was a child. After he became the president of Anderson Group at the age of 30, he was even more arrogant. A few words from his assistant made him lose face in public. As a result, he also bore a grudge against Ryan. He snorted coldly. He said to Ryan, "You're quite capable, so you've already hooked up with Emma's daughter. No wonder you don't like Sophia. You don't like the Anderson family either. Looks like you've been planning to join the Emma family for a long time. I'll tell Mom and Dad all about what happened today. I'll tell Mom and Dad when I get home. You just wait." Jacob's face did not look good. Took his assistant and left the Emma family. Emma and I smiled at each other. Neither took Nathan seriously. After thanking the special assistant, we talked to Aunt about what just happened, then walked out of Emma's family together. A few days passed. There's been nothing about Nathan. I thought that was the end of the matter. That night, Emma and I were sampling dishes for our wedding reception. I got an unexpected call. "Ryan, can you come over and keep me company? I miss you so much." When the call came through, Sophia's voice came out of the receiver with a hint of petulance. Emma stood aside, hands crossed in front of her chest, a smirking expression on her face, eyes falling straight on me. "Sophia, I have to remind you, you're already married. You talk to your nominal brother-in-law like this. Your husband, that's my brother, does he know? I'm getting married soon under the gaze of my fiancé. I have to be extra careful with my words." The other end of the phone was quiet for a while. There was only a sharp intake of breath. "Ryan, I don't care where you are right now. I don't care where you are right now. You have to come and see me right now, or I'll do something drastic." Sophia hung up the phone. I looked at my fiancé at a loss for words. I looked at my fiancé and said, "I really haven't contacted her, and I don't know what's wrong with her today." Fiancé responded, "I didn't say I don't believe you. In fact, I've long seen that Sophia is not a simple person. It's just that you used to be too simple in school, always being led by her nose." Emma sensed my uneasiness, so she opened her mouth. "Let's go. I'll accompany you to see how that bold vixen plans to approach my fiancé." We rushed to the address Sophia gave us. We found a very private bar. After asking the bartender, he walked us to the innermost booth. Sophia was a bit groggy though, but her brain is still clear. She saw Ryan and immediately shouted with joy, "Ryan, you're here." As soon as she saw me, Sophia immediately rushed over and hugged me. She immediately rushed over and hugged me. She said, "I knew you still love me. You can't let go of me, right?" I didn't react for a moment. She hugged me tightly. The moment I was hugged, I felt a little uncomfortable. I used to follow her, hesitant to even hold hands. Then we were officially together for 10 years. At most, it was just a light kiss. Nothing more intimate, holding so tightly. Still not letting go. Emma coldly teased. I immediately reflexively pushed away the person in my arms. I hurriedly explained, "Emma, I didn't mean it." She suddenly rushed over. I didn't have time to react. I hurriedly explained. Emma's face was cold. She glared at me, then sat down. Sophia, who was pushed away, seemed to have sobered up a bit. She looked at me sadly. Tears were welling up in her eyes. I had a bit of a headache, feelings for Sophia. It ended on the wedding day. The person in my heart now is Emma. Sophia, looking for me so late. What's the matter? I don't want anything more to do with her. Let's just get this over with. Take your fiancé and get out of here. Ryan even addresses me so coldly. You really want to leave me alone? I gave her a complicated look in my heart. I wondered how she could say such words. It's obvious that I'm the one who's being abandoned. I lowered my head, said in a low voice, "These more than 10 years. The one who has been played by you and Nathan. Wasn't it me, she hurried to explain. Those were not my intentions. The only person I've always loved is you. I had no choice but to marry Nathan. How could you not believe me? If you told me that before the wedding, I would have believed you. But now every word you say, I don't believe. I even feel sick to my stomach. I looked straight at Sophia, seriously. Don't let the kind and wonderful Sophia in your memory be replaced by this hypocritical you now. She sat across the table, silence. Tears flowed down silently. I held Emma's hand. I stroked it gently. She had nice hands. The fingers are thin and long. The palm is not thick but soft. It's very comfortable to touch. I thought, doing something with such hands would put people in a good mood. Just as I was rambling, her mood slowly calmed down. Ryan was able to forget about me so quickly. Is it because of her? Sophia stares at Emma, heart filled with envy. Her heart was filled with envy. She realized that the other woman was better than her in terms of family background and appearance. To be honest, if it wasn't for Emma, it wasn't for Emma, it would have taken me a lot longer to calm down. I looked at Emma. Eyes unconsciously showed love. Emma saw it. A happy smile appeared on her face. Sophia saw it too. There was a hint of bitterness in her smile. Her eyes were filled with jealousy. She looked at Emma. The tone was a bit sharp. Miss Emma, you are a true daughter of a wealthy family. Aren't you worried that picking up someone else's man will be laughed at by people in your circle? Sophia stares at Emma. The tone is with pleading. You give Ryan back to me. I really can't live without him. I looked at the woman across from me in surprise. She was completely different from the simple and gentle image I remembered. The last glimmer of good memories were completely shattered. She sneered. A married woman, to actually say such words to her brother-in-law's fiancé. Is this the way the Sophia family's house style is? Emma sneered. I didn't expect Sophia to think of continuing to sneak around with her brother-in-law. Emma, let's go. There's no need to say any more. I also sank my face. Sophia, don't ever say that again. I, Ryan, am not ready to share a wife with my brother. Please behave yourself. Sophia is full of defiance. She shouted before I dragged Emma away. You and Nathan are not brothers. What kind of co-wife is that? I jerked to a stop, asked him, what did you just say? Nathan and I are not brothers. What the hell does that mean? You're not really the Andersons' biological child. You were adopted. They told the public that they had a second child. That's why you won't inherit the Andersons' estate. If it weren't for that, I would have had to marry Nathan before I married you. Suddenly remarried to Nathan, Sophia smiled bitterly and laughed at herself. I will find out about this, but it's over between us. Whether you were forced or willing, it doesn't matter. Things have already been decided. There's no way to change it, that's all. I took Emma and left that night. Sophia told me I wasn't a child of the Anderson family, so I began to investigate this matter. But I don't know if it's because too much time has passed, or the matter itself is too hidden. I've been looking into it for a long time, but I haven't made any progress. The Emma family is also investigating, but their progress is also very slow. Just then, my mom called me. Ryan, Saturday is your grandfather's 80th birthday. We're having a banquet at a mountain lodge in the suburbs. Remember to prepare in advance. Right, remember to bring your fiancé and your in-laws. We'll be family soon. We should sit down for a meal with our in-laws. We'll talk about your marriage. Ryan, did you hear that? My mom was talking alone for a long time. I didn't talk to her. I told her that I had no contact with the Andersons. Even if I went to the birthday party, I wouldn't go as the second son of the Anderson family. There was silence on the other side. It seems that she didn't expect me to refuse so firmly. I waited for a long time, still no response. I thought about it for a while. Think the birthday banquet still have to go. After all, now to figure out my birth can only start from my dad and my mom. The phone just hung up. The Anderson family's driver delivered the invitation to me. The invitation not only invited me, it also specifically mentioned the Emma family. I looked at it. Saturday's party. I will attend on time. After discussing with Emma, we decided to go to the party by ourselves. The elders of Emma's family aren't going, since we already know how the Andersons are. It's better not to let them contact the Anderson family. Saturday. We arrived at the banquet location on time. The Anderson family elder was sitting on the stage receiving blessings from the guests. Ryan's here. This is your fiancée, Emma. Come and wish your grandfather a happy birthday. My mom's eyes are sharp. She saw me in the crowd. She hurriedly greeted me. People around us looked at us. The second youngest son of the Anderson family, who was kicked out of the family tree, actually came back to attend the birthday banquet. He was even warmly received by my mom. What the hell is going on here? Someone recognized Emma, whispered her identity to the person next to her. The only daughter of Emma's family. She's the next head of the Emma family. Any son who marries her will be a lucky man. It would be a great honor for his ancestors, even if it's a marriage, giving up a son in exchange for the cooperation between our company and the Emma family. It's also a good deal. The guests' murmurings reached the ears of the Anderson family, if at all, although it didn't sound too pleasant, but the people were indeed right. Anderson family old master, I wish you blessings like the East Sea. Your life is as long as MT. Nan. My father heard my name calling. He frowned. Ryan, why do you call it that? Don't you even recognize Grandpa? He said with a gentle smile to Emma. Emma, I've made you laugh. Ryan has been a bad boy since he was a kid. Oh, by the way, when are your parents arriving today, when the party is over? We can sit down and talk about your marriage. Looking at my dad's hypocritical look, I can't help but compare them in my mind. 3 generations of the Anderson family. The level of hypocrisy is really the same. It's hard to watch. Anderson family president, we don't know each other well. It's more appropriate for you to call me MTKS Emma. Emma always looks cold and strong in front of everyone. She said, it's been a month since Ryan was removed from the Anderson family tree. Don't you guys remember that? My dad's smile froze for a moment. He didn't expect Emma to be so direct. Let him down. My mom saw her husband embarrassed, hurriedly came out to ease the atmosphere. Oh, MTKS Emma really knows how to joke. Although Ryan was removed from the family before, but he will always be our youngest son. That will never change. Am I really your son? I asked, staring at my dad, my mom. Seeing their faces stiffen, and Nathan, who had been pretending he didn't hear me, suddenly looked surprised. Sure enough, they were a family of 3, including the old man. All knew the truth of the matter. How can you child believe what others say so easily? You're not our child. Whose else's child could it be? My mom explained with a somewhat embarrassed smile. I didn't say anything else. Pulling out 2 reports from Emma's bag. They were the DNA tests done on the biological samples of me and my dad and my mom. It was written on the report. The identification results show my dad is not related to Ryan. My mom is not related to Ryan. We should all trust science. Right? I looked at the Anderson family, said in a cold tone. The guests around us all showed surprised expressions. One after another, they pricked up their ears and listened carefully. It turns out that rich people also love to gossip. You this unfilial son, where did you find this guy? And you falsified the appraisal report. Do you think you can get away with the Andersons just because you're in the Emma family? You think you can get rid of the Andersons? As soon as my father opened his mouth, he put the blame on me for being a bad son. Emma patted the back of my hand, comforting me. At this time, the Anderson family's butler hurried in to report. Master, that modest president has brought a birthday gift to celebrate the old master's birthday. You think it would be a good idea to invite him in now? The Anderson family's people heard this. Their hearts were bursting with joy. I didn't expect that the president of a venture capital firm so famous in the industry would personally come to the Anderson family to celebrate his birthday. Please come in. Don't keep the guests waiting. Michael then walked in holding a box. He was followed by an old man with an extraordinary demeanor. Anderson family old master. This is a birthday gift specially prepared by my boss. He said that this is the last gift for you. From now on, he will have nothing to do with the Anderson family anymore. Michael's words puzzled everyone present. His boss, the humble-looking boss behind the scenes. Could he be the lone wolf? Michael nodded, after giving out the gift, and stood aside, didn't say another word. My father looked at Nathan, and then looked at Sophia. The 3 of them were wondering, Three people are wondering if they know this new big shot in the investment world. Sophia suddenly thought of something. She looked up at me. My dad pondered for a while, still couldn't remember who humble boss was, had to put aside his doubts for the time being, turned his gaze to another unfamiliar face. The man said, "I am the housekeeper of the Anderson family in New York. I took the liberty of coming here today. It's to find my family's young master's son." The old man introduced himself to my father with great vigor. "This is the Anderson family of New York." My dad and my mom looked at each other, looking a little flustered. "Young Master Ryan, your grandfather asked me to bring his will, need you to confirm it." I looked surprised, although Humble is somewhat famous in this city. But compared to the Anderson family in New York, it's nothing compared to the Anderson family. The Anderson family's parents and the old man heard the butler's words. Their faces instantly became ugly, the secret they had been desperately trying to hide. It turned out that the other party had known about it long ago. It was just that they didn't understand why the other party had waited so long to show up, and it was only after they had completely severed their relationship with their youngest son. Boss lady, should we leave now? The driver is still waiting at the door." As soon as Michael asked me, I came back to my senses. Everyone in the room was shocked to hear him call me that. They were stunned. No one expected it. That low-key, mysterious big boss is actually the Anderson family's former young master. Then look at the expressions of the Anderson family's people. Obviously, they were also not clear about this matter. Everyone's expressions looked meaningful. None of them seemed to have expected this. The Anderson family's birthday banquet was disrupted by a series of accidents. No one was in the mood to continue. After I led people away, the guests also left in droves. Only the Anderson family was left at the banquet site. They gathered together with gloomy faces. No one opened their mouths to speak. The butler brought the will and the truth about my birth. From his narration, I learned that I was abducted. Back then, the Anderson family was in internal chaos. There were factions in the family. The heir of the main branch was a girl. The sidekicks made a big deal out of it. My mom was a bit naive back then. She was coaxed by the son of the Anderson family in the city with sweet words. She gave birth to me unmarried. Then she lost me by accident. Grandpa searched for me for many years. Finally, he found out that my father had brought me back to the Anderson family in the city. My dad wanted to use me to force Grandpa to agree to his marriage to my mom. Unfortunately, my mom was unlucky. While out looking for me, the sidekick created a car accident. She unfortunately passed away. My dad later got into a fight with someone at a party. As a result, he was killed by someone who took advantage of the situation. The Anderson family were not aware of their youngest son's plan. They were going to wait for my grandfather to pick me up to extort a fortune. I didn't realize it would be almost 30 years. Until Nathan's wedding day, the Andersons thought I was useless, and they were afraid that I would stay home and compete with my brother for the family fortune. They simply kicked me out of the house. "Young master." Before he died, the master said, "The Anderson family has been messed up by those people. Even if I let you inherit it, it's still a trouble for you. Although you've been wandering around since you were a child, but you have real skills. You can make a name for yourself." Therefore, he decided to leave the Anderson family's old mansion and most of the real estate to you. As for the affairs of the group, you don't have to interfere anymore. I've been busy dealing with the inheritance for more than half a month. Emma has been by my side all this time. The wedding was left to Emma's family elders to organize. Originally, I should have prepared a grand wedding for her, but because of various chores to delay, although Emma said it's okay, I still feel a bit sorry for her. 1 month later, Emma and I's wedding was held as scheduled. This grand wedding, with the blessing of many important people, we were officially married. In just 3 months, I've gone from being the abandoned son of the Anderson family to a rising star in the investment world. The son-in-law of Emma's family. It's a magnificent comeback. I heard that on the wedding day. Nathan and Sophia had a big fight. He accidentally pushed her. As a result, the unformed baby in her stomach was lost. I'm not interested in these things that don't concern me. Just laughed. Now I just want to love this woman who has always been by my side.